Hey everyone, and welcome back to Storytime with Stuffies.
Christmas edition. So if you watched yesterday's episode, you might remember that we read this book, Ben Unwrapped that book, and we read the first story of the 12 days, and it was called 10 Ways to Be Perfect. And if you want to look this up now or after in your Bible, it can be found in Joshua chapter 3 and 6. All right, the warrior leader. After Moses died, God gave his people a new leader. His name was Joshua, which means the Lord saves. Joshua was going to lead God's people into the special land God had promised to give them. By this time, God's people had been wandering around in that baking desert for 40 years. So you can imagine how sick they were of sand and anything yellow and tense and walking and being hot, and how happy they were to reach the edge of the desert and see their beautiful new home right there in front of them, all cool and green and lovely. There was only one problem: Jericho. Jericho was a city. But it wasn't just any old city, it was a fortress, and it stopped anyone from getting into the land. The people looked at Jericho, at the big, scary, towering ramparts, at the heavy iron gates bolted shut, at each other. What would they do? No one knew, but God knew, and God told Joshua what to do. But Joshua must have looked surprised, because it was a very odd battle indeed, as we'll soon find out. Then God made his people a promise. I will always be with you, and I will never ever leave you. If you do what I say, your lives in the new land will be happy and everything will go well. So Joshua gathered his army together. They had their swords, spears, and shields. They were ready to fight. But the plan wasn't fighting. It was about trusting and doing what God said. Joshua's army went marching and marching around the city, day after day. They are too scared to fight, the people of Jericho said. But they were wrong. God's people weren't scared. They were waiting for God to tell them what to do next. On the seventh day, God told his people to march around the city not once, but 7 times. Then God told everyone to make as much noise as they could. Has anyone ever told you to make as much noise as you possibly can? Well, imagine that noise at 39,999 other people making that noise too, and you get the idea. Ear splitting. And as it turned out, stone splitting too, because the huge strong walls of Jericho just crumbled to the ground as if they were made of sand. Jericho vanished in a cloud of dust. So it was to get in. They only had to walk. Joshua said, God has brought you here safely. Now will you do what he says? Everyone said, we promise. Only God can make your heart happy, Joshua said, so don't pray to pretend gods. No, they said, never. I'm afraid they didn't keep their promise. They didn't do what God said, and many years later, just as God warned them, things would go badly for God's people. They would lose their home. Any enemies would capture them and take them off as slaves, and God's people would scatter into many different lands. But God's plan was still working. One day, he would give his people another leader and another home. But this home, no one could ever take from them. Now there are some questions again, so I had to go get it off the computer. So the questions are: the people looked at the walls of Jericho and didn't know how to overcome them. Who did know what to do with them?
God.
And what did God promise the Israelites, Ben?
A land.
Why is it good to wait and listen to what God is telling you rather than running ahead and doing what you think is best?
Because he sees the full picture and you only see what you think is going to happen.
Amy is going to get to pick and unwrap a book that she will then read. Are you unwrapping that one?
No. by Margaret Wise Brown and what? Oh, right on cue. It was Christmas. How could you tell? Was the snow falling? No. The little cat, Pussycat, knew that Christmas was coming. The ice tingled when it broke on the frozen mud puddles. The cold air made her hair stand straight up in the air. And the air smelled just as it did last year. What did it smell like? Could she smell Christmas trees? Of course she could. And tangerines and Christmas greens and holly? Could she hear the crackle and slip of white tissue paper and red tissue paper? She certainly could. Tissue paper rustled, nuts cracked, scissors cut. Boom! There wasn't a flake of snow in the sky, but the sky was dark and low, and there was the dark smell of winter air before snow. And then, click, the streetlights clicked on all over town. And as the heavens turned dark beyond the window, one by one, the snowflakes began to fall out of the sky. How did little Pussycat know? Could she hear the snow? Shh! She certainly could. And she ran right out into the snowstorm. For if there was anything that this little cat loved, it was the cold, dry, fresh, white, wild, and feathery, powdery snow. She went pouncing around in it, bouncing around in joy, and she ate some of it. And she rolled in it and dug in it and played with it. And then she stood up all white with snow, very still, for it was very quiet. Very quiet. First there was no sound, and then there was some. For when everything is quiet, you can hear things far away. From the sky with a sound, like steady whispering, came the snow. That sound of snow. Then the wind rattled the black branches and rattled it was time for Pussycat to go into the house. The little cats do not like the wind. They usually don't like snow, but this little cat did. All the smells of the earth that she knew were frozen and buried in the white snow. The world was very quiet and very mysterious. Even footsteps were quiet. Pussycat didn't go in right away because through the wind and the falling snow she heard something. She stood very still and stretched her ears. They were in the white and darkness, and soon she heard it coming from far away, away up the snowy road. Ding, 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 jingle, 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 ding. What was it? She heard it going by in the white falling snow. She saw it. She saw the sleigh go jingling by. Then Pussycat meowed at her window pane, and she heard footsteps coming to let her in. They always let her in right away because they didn't want her to get cold, and they liked to have her in the house. She walked right into the living room where she could smell the sharp, tangy smell of the Christmas tree and candles, and nuts and raisins and apples and tangerines. But they shouldn't have let her stay in the living room where they were wrapping up packages and hanging things on the tree. And this is why. Pussycat pounced. She pounced on everything. She waited to pounce with shining eyes and switching tail. She waited with shining eyes for something to fall, to tinkle, to crash, and to break. She batted the Christmas tree balls with her paw, tore at the tissue paper, and pulled the bows off the packages. So they put her out in the hall and closed the glass doors. Pussycat lay down and purred by the fire. She lifted her ears and she listened. There was a sound of crackling. Shh, crackle. What was that? Was it the fire? Always there was the sound of snow hissing against the window pane. There was a tiny tinkle, little pop, as something fell from the Christmas tree and shivered into a million splinters of light. That was wonderful. The lights gleamed in Pussycat's eyes. Then bang, bang, bang. What was that? Someone was hanging their Christmas stockings. Everyone came out and stepped over and around the little cat and put on coats and boots and mufflers and hats and laughed and chuckled away. They kissed each other under the mistletoe, then off they went to church. Suddenly and quietly, far off in the night, Pussycat could hear ding-dong, 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 ding-dong. When everyone had gone, it was dark and quiet. The snow had stopped, and there was only the smell of the Christmas tree filling the house in silence. Then, softly at first, but distinct in the night, she heard people walking from window to window. The dark carols on the white snow. Through the still air, their voices came to her listening ears, over the silence of the frozen snow and in the silence of the moonlight, in the silence of the night, in the silence of the bright stars high in the sky. Silent night, holy night, all is calm, all is bright. And as the little Pussycat purred and purred by the fire, she heard in the distance the music fading far down the road. Then she pushed open the living room door with her paw, and there in the silent house was the Christmas tree. It sparkled and glistened with lights, gold and silver and blue, the light of rubies and emeralds shining like no tree that any cat had ever seen in the woods. This, to Pussycat, was Christmas Eve.
Well, wasn't that a cute little book?
Activity.
The pictures of the cat actually look like one of our friend's cats named Bella, except Bella doesn't have that much white on her belly, but it does kind of look like Bella. So, and now I will go get the magical. I'll find a hat and write down some activities.
How many different activities?
I don't know. We shall see what we shall see. And I will put it in the hat, and Amy will pick. No, who picked last time?
Ben.
Yeah, I was okay. So Amy will get to pick this time because Ben picked last time. All right, I am back with the hat of activities, simple activities that you can do at home yourself too if you want. It's a countdown for Christmas, and this is number 2 of the 12 picks. So I'm gonna shake it up. There's 2 in there to pick from.
Okay, I'm sure they're mixed. Okay,
Only one.
just one. No. Go outside and have a snowball fight.
That is such a lie. It says write letters to Santa.
Thanks for watching. Bye.